All right, let's have some hard conversations. CJ Stroud after the Texans loss, the Texans embarrassing loss, the Texans beat down at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens. CJ Stroud said that the Texans need to have some hard conversations. This segment brought to you by BetUS. We're on the road. We'll be back in H Town next week. I'll be with you through the playoffs, but whether on the road or not, the content doesn't stop. So appreciate everyone for coming through. Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content, sponsored by BetUS. Get 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your deposit now, and it's bowl season, man. This is the best time to be gambling for sure on sports. So BetUS promo code YouTube 150. You can get in the game. The line right now for the Texans versus Titans. This is going to be like uh, such an irrelevant game. Uh, I I would play Davis Mills and not play Joe Mixon and not play Nico Collins, but I've stopped trying to understand uh, how this organization functions and what they think. The line right now, not up. So we'll see what it goes to. I would assume that we could even see the Titans favored, but who knows? Um, we'll see how it goes. Um, CJ Stroud said a couple of things that I kind of want to touch on. The first one was CJ Stroud asked about the difference between last year and this year, and he came out and said he was banged up. And then he said that was a terrible excuse. And that was really confusing to me. One, why he would say that. And two, well, how banged up are you? And if you're banged up, why the hell are you out there in the fourth quarter of a game that means absolutely nothing? That's that's strange for a number of reasons because I think most players and you hear a lot of players say you see Josh Allen. Um, let's just put this in perspective because I know we want a quarterback really bad around here, and rightfully so. And I think C.J. Stroud can still be that quarterback. I'm not one of those people that is wanting to move on from CJ Stroud. Quite frankly, I haven't seen very many of those people. I've seen people frustrated with his play, and why would you not be frustrated? Why would you not be frustrated with the way that CJ Stroud has played? But just think about what he just said. And let's just put in perspective why CJ Stroud and elite should not be in the same sentence at the current moment. Patrick Mahomes just had hurt his ankle. Now, the high ankle sprain, we know that was a lie, but Patrick Mahomes just hurt his ankle. Josh Allen has had a effed up hand all season long. Lamar Jackson is always banged up. And when those guys struggle, they don't go up there and say, I'm banged up. You don't hear that because most guys are. And I know CJ caught himself early and he said that's a terrible excuse. But the makeup of a franchise quarterback should not be to where that even crosses your mind and you go up there and say something like that. And these are the conversations that need to be had. Like if you're going to cover the Texans and you're going to say that you cover the Texans, these are the conversations that need to be had. What my perfect world looks like is CJ Stroud goes out there and throws 90 touchdown passes and wins MVP. I benefit from that. But despite being in the building and despite covering the squad and despite wanting that, you have to maintain some credibility. You have to maintain some journalistic credibility. Like when I was at the flagship, I wasn't kissing the Texans' ass. If I thought Jack Easterby was a POS, I would say he was a POS. If I thought Bill O'Brien was a football idiot, I'd say he was a football idiot. If I thought I could see a change in Deshaun Watson, I'd say it. So there's no water carrying. But let's just talk about the conversations that need to be had about CJ Stroud. And I don't know if Graf was on heroin, crack, because I'm not even going to say the high grade, because this is about as stupid as I've seen. So you're doing the hard drugs. You're doing the crystal meth, heroin, or crack. You're trying to turn this into a Colts QB Richardson. We not doing that, Landry. You need to get off the meth, buddy. I'm turning this into a I didn't care about the Anthony Richardson thing, and Anthony Richardson sucks. I'm turning this into a we have hope that CJ Stroud can be an elite quarterback eventually. And when you go up there and you're asked why you're struggling, and you say that you're banged up, and then you smartly catch yourself and say that, that tells you that the makeup right now is not there to where he's a franchise quarterback right now. Anthony Richardson might not even be in the league in 3 years. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about, buddy. There's no Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud don't belong in the same sentence. But neither do CJ Stroud, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. That's my point. And I just laid it out why it's interesting that he said that. And he seems to agree because he said it himself. Does that mean that's always going to be the case? No, but that right there was symbolic of that. When he goes up there and says that. And I think there's been a honeymoon phase where we've looked at the problems and we've talked about how everything around CJ is an issue, and that might still be the case. But what he can control is not he's not looking the part. And when you go up and say that, that's not how you do it. That's just not how you do it. Graf is in the nose is in the corner. He's in timeout. He's getting a little bit weird now. Giving me his life story. I'm just saying it's not an Anthony Richardson thing. It's not that serious. It's not a disrespect thing, anything like that. Just put your nose in the corner. Do what you got to do. Cry it out. We'll see you in a sec. Appreciate you for being here, Graffa. Just got to put you in the penalty box, though, brother. But yeah, I just like CJ Stroud saying that. I think it's interesting. I think he would agree, but I still think it kind of shows the makeup a little bit. For sure. Maybe CJ was taking a shot at his own line, says Michael. Maybe. I mean, why? Maybe. Why would he not? I mean, it's clear, and I don't think there's like one thing that needs to be said about this offense. Like, it doesn't have to be one thing or the other. Like the offense, like we don't have to list all this stuff. We've done this before. That's been the main topic the last couple of days. But yeah, it's been a number of things. And I don't know what the Texans do on offense. And CJ is missing receivers. Guys are failing to get open. The blocking's not consistent. The blocking's not good. The play calling's not good. I don't know if he's being coached well. A lot of problems. But he hasn't been good. He hasn't controlled what he can control. We've seen quarterbacks in very bad situations, and they've been able to overcome it. Good thing for CJ Stroud is you still have a talented defense. You still host a home playoff game. And the old term, any given Sunday, maybe that happens. Maybe you get something going. We'll see. Orange Drink, real talk. Every time you say real talk, there's going to be something there. Although Andre 3000 said, if you say real talk, I probably won't trust you. But real talk, with how this O-line is blocked for CJ this year, does he get them some crazy extra stuff? Yeah, I haven't seen what CJ got his offensive line. God, I saw Mahomes got some expensive ass watches and basically just like a Price is Right array of gifts. I don't know what he gets his offensive line. I'm not sure. They probably should keep the Texans should probably keep that behind the scenes. Because if the Texans, like the Chiefs, posted what Mahomes got his offensive line, if the Texans post what CJ got his offensive line, whew, They're just opening it up for a roast session. I don't think they want that. The days of being roasted on social media uh, are past for the Texans. So I doubt they even want to put that. Yeah, Brock Purdy got him tundras. Yeah. Can he buy them a new O-line coach? Don't know. Don't know. Would probably say no, but don't know. CJ's fooling, gonna wait till playoffs and call him playoff CJ. That'd be great. That'd be great. Playoff win and then flip the switch and have the defense help you. That would be great. Wouldn't mind it. How does the loss of Tank Dell affect me? What do you mean? I mean, I don't like to see that for that young man. I, I, the offense, like Tank Dell, they were struggling with him more times than not. Tank Dell wasn't really a factor statistically, so that's not an excuse for them. But how has it affected me? I don't know what that means. Oh, how do I carry on? You're talking like in the team. How do they carry on? They do what they did. I mean, Xavier Hutchinson had 21 yards. I think Tank Dell had 3 games of 21 or less. I know he had 3 games of 2 catches or less. He had a catchless game. He had 2 1-catch games. He had 1 catch, 1 game where he had 1 catch for -3 yards. So the offense continues to do what they have been doing, not scoring points, struggling in the red zone, not taking advantage of opportunities they got, frustrating a lot of people. Yeah, they struggle with Dell and Diggs. Don't bail them out. Don't bail out the offense. Like evaluate the team the way you want to evaluate the squad and the way you should evaluate a squad. This offense has never been humming at any point this year. It's never been humming. You haven't watched a game all season long and said that's the way that's exactly how I envision this offense looking. Ever. Ever. Gustavo says he's ready for to see us not a joke, just trying to be able to see a whole season without wanting to pull my hair out. I don't think they're a joke. I mean, I wouldn't say the Texans are a joke. That might be a little bit harsh. I mean, I think they're a frustrating watch. I think it kind of feels like familiar territory. You might feel like you're kind of on this mediocre treadmill that you've been on. I don't think they're a joke. Siraj says they're a joke. Are the Texans a joke, chat? Do you think the Texans are a joke? I don't think they're a joke. I don't think they got the momentum they got. I don't think they're a joke. I think this is a pivotal offseason to where we can see if they proactively can fix a clear issue. But I don't think they're a joke. I think that's a little bit harsh. It's frustrating, but joke, I wouldn't say that. Dion says, I think people forget CJ's only 23. He's really mature, but still a kid. He's learning valuable lessons this year. He'll be better. I agree. I agree. It's just like how much better, you know? I think that's what it is. You take a step back. D'Amico's young too. I actually put out the stats of head coaches that are in the playoff picture currently. And I want to pull up these stats. We might dive a little bit deeper into these over the course of the season. But yeah, CJ's young. The hype was maybe not proportional to what it is, but I'm not giving up completely on CJ. The I'm banged up was a weird thing when you look at the peers that we're lumping him in with. And in fairness, he might never end up being a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, um, Lamar Jackson. He can end up being damn good. Quarterback's not in that tier of have won games, but the D'Amico thing is interesting too because he's got to evolve as a coach. But if you look at the D'Amico, like the experience of the head coaches in the AFC playoffs. So I did total coaching experience, years as an NFL head coach, playoff games, conference championship appearances, and Super Bowl rings. Andy Reid has 40 years of coaching experience, 26 years as an NFL head coach, 42 playoff games, 11 conference championship games. God, 3 Super Bowl rings. Sean McDermott, 27, 8, 11 playoff games, 1 conference title game. John Harbaugh, 41 years coaching experience, 17 years as a head coach, 22 playoff games, 4 conference championship games, a Super Bowl ring. Jim Harbaugh, 31 years of coaching experience. This is crazy. 5 years of NFL head coaching experience, and he has 3 conference championship games, 8 playoff games. Sean Payton, 35, 17, 17, 3, and 1. Mike Tomlin, 30, 18 years as an NFL head coach, 18 playoff games, 3 conference championship games, and 1 Super Bowl ring. And then you have DeMeco Ryans with 8 years of total coaching experience. The next fewest is McDermott with 27. He has 2 years as an NFL head coach. You have 18, 17, 5, although he was coaching at Michigan, 17, 8, 26. And then 2 playoff games. And the rest of the playoffs games are 18, 17, 8, 22, 11, 11. And the 8 for Harbaugh, you're not even counting what went on at Michigan. So, I mean, it's a young squad. It's battle tested, but you're going to have to evolve. And that might be one of the tough conversations that needs to be had when it comes to DeMeco. Is DeMeco capable of evolving? Is DeMeco going to be able to do that? Are you confident that he can? And these are questions that have been had about all these guys. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. If Mike McDaniel got fired and was the OC, then I think he would be in good shape. On the super chat, Kevin Smith asks, what do you make of Daniil's comments on needing to game plan better? Dude hardly speaks and then drops that soundbite. Thanks for doing the live shows while you're enjoying Christmas vacation. Well, thank you for joining me while I'm on Christmas vacation. I mean, Daniil's about that action, and I don't know if he's talking offensive. I don't think he's talking defensive. I think he's basically just saying that we need to be better in every area, which is what a lot of guys say. I wouldn't think that Daniil is calling out any of the coaches. That's not really his nature. But I mean, he's right. I don't know that they're throwing out a full defensive game plan in this game, to be honest with you. Just the possibility that they would see Baltimore again in the playoffs, they're kind of weird. Like when we saw, and I don't think this was a factor. I think they just got their ass whooped. But when we saw the Texans play the Browns for the first time last year, they got their ass whooped. And then the second time around, Stingley was following around Amari Cooper, which he wasn't the game before. So I think the defensive game plan's fine. Offensively, I mean, we already know what that is. That's terrible. That's just not good at all. Another interesting thing that CJ Stroud said, it is the locker room #1 source for Texans digital content. This segment's brought to you by BetUS. We'll get into the actual money with BetUS a little later on. This line is not even worth looking at. It might be like Xavier Hutchinson, Cade Stover, like that type of a week when it comes to like betting on props. But right now I don't have like a feel of this line, and I don't even think they haven't put it out yet. So we'll get to that. But CJ Stroud said that there needs to be some hard conversations had. This is my question. What are the top 3? If I asked y'all, what are the top 3 combos that need to be had? If CJ Stroud says hard conversations need to be had, in your opinion, and I value y'all's opinions, what are the 3 conversations that need to be had the most in regards to this Houston Texans team in the immediate future and in the long term? What would your 3 conversations be if you had to have those types of conversations that CJ says that they need to have? What would be the 3? Because I have mine. DC O-line. How can you miss easy throws? Davis Mills starting QB, LOL. Daniel's got jokes. My hard conversations with this team would be number 1, do CJ Stroud's surroundings need to be changed? In other words, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach, the system, the offensive line, the receivers, the skill position players as a whole, does that need to change? The answer is yes, in some way, shape, or form. The fear is that they're just going to stubbornly make a small change like the offensive line coach or something like that, and they're not going to do anything. That's the fear. I I would lean towards them making some significant changes on offense. Now, the dialogue in which they throw out there when they speak about these things is kind of terrifying, if we're being honest. It's actually really effing scary when you hear them talking about the offensive line has been pretty solid. The offensive line has been good. This guy's playing good when he's not. The receivers, without Diggs and Dell, we believe in these guys. These guys can do their thing. We have a really strong running back room. We got good skill position guys. We have one of the best screen games in the league. We're really, really good at explosives. That's scary because it makes you wonder what's going on. And it leads me to hard conversation number 2. Is D'Amico Ryans currently too defensive minded? Is D'Amico Ryans currently too defensive minded? And this isn't just based on the offense not moving. This is based on their actions. Okay. After the Tennessee game, D'Amico Ryans says the offense played well enough for us to win. That sounds like a defensive coach. The offense wet the bed. Jimmy Ward had a pick 6. We hear just going above and beyond to defend poor play. We hear focus on the positives, but the defense is coached a different way. The defense, honestly, there's like a higher level of accountability. They thought they could upgrade from Malik Collins. They did, despite his production last year. On the other hand, Dalton Schultz is here. He's one of the highest paid tight ends in the game. Damian Pierce is back. And you hashtag ran it back with Mechie, Hutchinson, and the entire offensive line. And what's true today might not be true tomorrow. But right now, this is just unproportional when it comes to not just the talent, because a lot of times you have limited resources. So if you dedicated more offseason resources to the defense, that's fine. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Detroit had to have full offseason to revamp their offense. They used multiple first round picks on skill guys. So maybe that's the next step and you kind of figure it out. But there's a couple of things. First, I think there's kind of a feel that CJ could save all butts. You might be asking him to do too much. Maybe it's closer to a Jared Goff situation than some Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson situation. Maybe CJ Stroud, maybe those comparisons to Jared Goff were pretty accurate coming out of the draft. That was one of the 2 most common comparisons that you would hear. You would hear Joe Burrow and you would hear Jared Goff. Those were the two names you would hear the most about CJ Stroud coming out of Ohio State when it came to like ultimate comps. Maybe he's closer to Jared Goff than Joe Burrow. But even Joe Burrow, they went and got him Jamar Chase. Now they haven't really fixed the offensive line. He's able to overcome it. I don't think CJ is Joe Burrow. I don't think he's there. But the other thing is D'Amico Ryans, is he going to be able to elevate the way he coaches or trusts guys on offense with the way that he handles defense. He's a defensive savant. He knows how to get the most out of these guys no matter what the situation is. Like you talk about, these injuries on offense. They lost Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie, who completely changed the way that they have to play. They've won games without Will Anderson. Their best linebacker's out. They're able to overcome it. He's changing things. The offense does the exact same thing no matter who's in there. So DeMeco Ryans is going to have to figure that out. He's going to have to evolve. But that's the question. Joe Burrow can't overcome his defense, their trust. That has nothing to do with the offense. The offense is still one of the best in the league. That doesn't mean a damn thing. When we're talking about this, that means nothing, Jerome. He's overcome a bad offensive line to get his team in the ship, and the defense sucks, but the offense is doing what it needs to do. Offense here isn't doing enough. The defense is. So they're going to have to figure that out. But yeah, Burrow is elite. CJ, closer to Burrow or Jared Goff? Legitimate question. Hard conversation number 3. How did Nick and DeMeco collaborate to avoid deja vu? There's been a lot of lovey-dovey stuff with those two when it comes to the way that they talk about how close they work. And, it's great having another football guy and a guy that you can really lean on. Man, that's fun to do when you got all these assets and you have all this cap space and you have all these guys on rookie deals. And Nick Caserio's had 2 bad years of embarrassing, 2 one-and-done coaches, which I support. But now it's kind of, you're trying to go from good to great. You don't have like an endless budget. And you're also going to have to look at the fact that these guys are going to get contracts pretty soon. A lot of these young guys, or you're going to have to say goodbye to some of them. That happens too in these situations. You're going to have to say goodbye to some of these young, good players. How are they going to collaborate? Is Nick Caserio now looking at this offensive system that he kind of just put his hands up and said, all right, let's run this instead of the New England system I ran a long time? Or do they look at it? Because the one thing I don't like, and this is just kind of something that just gets said, and then it gets said and said and said and said and said, is, well, you don't want CJ to run a new system. Why not? If it's not the right system, why not? He can figure it out. It happens every year. Lamar Jackson figured out a new system. He won an MVP. Now, CJ's not Lamar Jackson. Okay, Jared Goff's doing different things with the Lions than he was with the Rams. Okay, that's probably a little bit closer. Jared Goff. Happens all the time. Learn a new system. Not the end of the world. A lot of quarterbacks have done it. Dak Prescott's it's a lot of people have had to do it. If we're talking closer to the tier. So that never does anything for me. Back to the super. Hey, Landry. Love the show. Chris Sims stated CJ Stroud should call protection instead of the center. What's your thoughts? Street Runner Society. Yeah, I would probably agree. I would probably say that the quarterback has a better view of things. It's not like you have Tyler Linderbaum. You actually took Kenyon Green instead, but that's neither here nor there. That was a while ago. Just kind of topical when you're watching what the Ravens do. But yeah, I mean, if the quarterback is able and the quarterback is willing, I think it would be nice, especially with the centers that you have. However, they're let me put it all right. Let me just forget all that. However, the hell they're calling out protections with these basic ass stunts and the cornerback blitz, I still don't know that CJ Stroud is immune from not recognizing that. But whatever the hell they're doing, whether it's just not getting through, whether it's this guy should be calling it instead of this guy, they got to change it. So if Chris Sims knows that that's the way they do it, it needs to change. Change for the sake of change at that point. Richard says, There's some obviously wrong with CJ mentally or physically. Only reason we go into the playoffs because of our weak division. He's been off. Y'all learn. Been off all year. Play call. Um, yeah, I would agree with that. I think there is something. I'm sure he is banged up, just like most of the other players in the NFL right now. And I'm sure that the confidence is shook. That's why he comes out and says, we need to have more fun. But what are you going to do? You still got the playoffs ahead of you. Um, so yeah, I don't disagree with you on that, my friend. Kevin, again, my opinion, CJ made Bobby look better than he is last year. Very possible. Very, 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 very possible. The league, and there was a lot of times where CJ was doing off script stuff. Like it's not like, oh, just Bobby was in his bag every week. So I don't disagree with that. The league got a year of tape on CJ's tendencies, and it's highlighted how Bobby is super predictable and been winging it. Breach. Breach. Very possible. CJ's got all the arm talent in the world. He throws a beautiful ball. Yeah, he's good. He's very, very good quarterback. Nobody disputes that. But what are the top three combos that you think need to be had? Um, Let me know what yours are. I just laid out my three. Um, Graffa back in the building. Shout out to you. A new offensive coordinator, possibly a QB coach. They say if it's broke, don't fix it. This offense needs a fix. Shout out to you, mi amigo. Yeah, I would agree with that. The offense needs to change something. Um, Gilly, I know CJ hasn't played well this season, but if he does end up getting surgery in the offseason, do we give him a little bit of a pass on the season? I don't know. Like, maybe. Like, did Trevor Lawrence get a pass the last couple years he's had surgery? I mean, and a lot of times you're getting, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Do we need to pick a wide receiver in the first round? I would do that, or I would trade it. I would figure something out there. Um, I want to have a moment of silence real quick, um, because I'm just kind of changing the way that I speak on this squad. So I'm just going to have a quick moment of silence. RIP Ravens, Chiefs, and Bills talk. Not just talk, localized talk. We'll still watch them. I can't wait to see these teams battle it out in the playoffs. But until further notice, let's stay in our lane. If we're connecting the Texans to other teams, let's connect them to the Chargers, Broncos, Steelers, hell, maybe the Colts. I'm gonna pour one out for the Ravens, Chiefs, and Bills talk. We're done with that. That's kind of I've kind of moved on from that. That's done. No more of that until further notice. Until further notice. Brandon's the hardo. Don't need connections to anybody. No, you localize it. You bring it back. That's what you do. When you do local radio or when you do a local thing, you connect everything. It gets connected. It's called localizing, not just going on random tangents with that. We're already getting into Garrett Wilson talk. They still got playoffs, man. They still got playoffs. Shout out to Jim Mora. Oh, but what a Texans miracle run looks like. It's the Jets. It's the Jags. That's it. That's where we're at. I can't even say that with a straight face at this point, but you know what? Fluid process. Who the hell knows what happens this week? And at the very least, at the very, very, very least, um, we get to watch the playoffs, and it could be a lot worse. And football is still the best time of the year, so don't let the Texans, the way that they're playing, what they are or aren't doing, don't let them ruin your fun, because football season is magical. Betting on football is fun too. Shout out to BetUS, YouTube 150, if you want to get in the game. And always remember, this is a shorter one. We're on the road. Um, We got to move on to Tennessee. Really, we can just move on to the playoffs. Who knows? SNL tomorrow. Subscribe to the SNL channel with myself and Cody Stutes. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all very much. Salute.